we are back with another episode of Mic Drop Moments with me and Gabs. This one was recorded on the day I launched, 1st of October, I think it was actually, the day I launched my new business, which is a recruitment agency. So, spoiler alert, I do get a little bit emotional on this one. But as normal, me and Gabs are just talking about key topics, chatting shit, basically. So I hope you enjoy it. If you do think of anything that you would love us to discuss next month, drop it in the comments. We will discuss it, I promise you. So leave any of your suggestions. Yeah. Oh, today has just been like I can't even like put it into words.
Like good?
Honestly. Yeah, but just like I might even get a little bit emotional. Do you know like how hard it's been, like all the months and months of hard work? And it just makes you realise like it's so worth it. Like, because I've had such an amazing response. I've got a meeting already with an agency on Thursday. So many people have added me on LinkedIn. I've had candidates getting in touch already to register just from that post. And
Oh,
it's like, you were meant to, this is what you're meant to be doing. Because I'm telling you, yesterday, because like I was so anxious and worried yesterday because it's just been so difficult with the coaching business. Like I just
yeah,
haven't got a lot of money at the moment,
yeah.
and I'm having to put money into this new business. And like I'm not going to hide it because I think people need to know these things. I've had to borrow money from my parents to get through this month,
Yep. It's real,
and
right?
this is the
Running a business is not
realities.
pretty. Not
This is the
pretty.
realities. And yeah, I was really like, oh my god, overwhelmed yesterday, like
Yeah.
really overwhelmed. So this has just been one of those days where I'm like, yes,
Mm.
like
It was worth
this is
it.
why you're
Like
doing it.
what? We spoke how many weeks ago? Was it three weeks ago? We had that Friday night, was it Friday night dog walk? I was like, I'm going for a walk. I
I
need to go
felt
to
awful. I'll be honest. That is one of the worst days of my life.
Mm,
I cried all the way home from Chippenham.
mm.
Like I couldn't stop. I felt the lowest of the low in my whole life. I was driving that car and I was thinking, I can't cope with feeling like this anymore.
Do you know what? It's so real, I think, for so many business owners to feel like that, to feel that
Mm.
immense amount of pressure. And everyone walks on social media and being like, you need to show your authentic self, but don't you dare talk about how tough and shit business can be, because then no one will think you're
Mm.
good enough. And actually, this is on you. And actually,
Oh, you've got it easy. You've got a business. Like you must make loads of money, and
oh,
not like that.
honestly, I think the thing is, I think there's loads of people on social media that are like, I make six figures when I just sneeze on LinkedIn and everyone loves
I
me and buys
fucking
my shit.
wish.
I know, right? But the thing is, like in reality, they're just full of pods of people blowing smoke up each other's whatever. And it's bullshit. It's so far from reality. And then when we spoke, it was like I was having similar troubles where I was just like, I know what I've got is something people need, but I'm not finding that fit. And like we spoke through it, didn't we? We were like talking about where you were, where I was, and it was like, well, what do we do with our businesses? What do we do with what we know? Well, we can
Mm.
bridge a gap that people have. And I think sometimes people don't have those conversations enough with a neutral party to just help be like, you're on the right track. Like, this is scary right now because a pivot is petrifying. Whether you're doing it in a
I
career or a
needed
business, it's
that
scary.
call with you gave me. Do you know what it is sometimes as well? It's the relief of feeling relaxed
Yeah.
slightly. Like you're constantly. I've had months now of constant fight or flight.
Mm.
Like until I went on holiday last week, I truly forgotten what it's like to feel
Relaxed.
relaxed. And I was in Ibiza. So, that's really saying something. It wasn't a relaxing holiday. And I said to my friend, so she's got a very stressful job. She's quite
Yeah.
high up in the company. And we were lying on a sun lounge on the first day and we were like, oh my God, I feel relaxed. Like this is the first time in months. So to get off the phone to you and just have some instant relief,
Yeah.
that was just that I could sleep well that night. I could, feel a bit more relaxed,
Mm.
like just to have that support from somebody that listens, understands, because that's the thing sometimes, isn't it? And you probably had this as well. There's people in your life, that say like, "Oh, come to me, I can support you," but when they don't get it, it doesn't give you any relief because they
No,
can't. It's not their fault, but they can't give you what you need in that moment.
no. Unless you've been there, I think unless you've been through those moments. But do you know when you've got people who have like once upon a time they went through a moment where they had financial issues with their business and stuff, but it was like 5, 10 years ago, and now they're absolutely smashing it and making loads of money. Those kind of people, although they feel like they can relate, they can't relate because
Mm.
it's such a distant memory for them and how they handled it and how they moved their way through it.
And they
They
can
just
easily
can't.
say like, "But you'll be fine," and it's
Oh,
because they're fine, and it's like,
I hate that
obviously, I
sentence.
kind of know that I will be fine, but because I was trying to describe it to my mum and sister yesterday, 'cause we went out for a roast dinner and I wasn't in a good way. Like I had to leave early because it was too busy. I was too anxious. I couldn't
Mm,
concentrate on any sort of conversation. I was literally just like, I can't deal with
too
this right
much.
now. And I was trying to explain to them. I was like, anything I try and do to feel better doesn't work. It's
Mm,
always there. That
yeah.
like, it's like
Feeling.
that feeling of doom
Yeah,
every day, and they were trying their best to reassure me and like support me, but unless they were going to give me like, I don't know, 10 grand,
it wasn't
that
gonna
there's
change
nothing
that.
they can. And
But
even
I think
that doesn't solve my problems, you know what I mean?
but I
It's
think that's the
like,
thing, it's fight when you're fighting to come out of something. And I think this thing is this conversation we're obviously having from the position of two business founders who are evolving their businesses and developing it
mm,
and nurturing it into becoming what it needs to be. But I think this conversation is so true for so many people where you feel like you're almost on the edge, where that fight or
mm,
flight, you're just living off adrenaline and you're
oh,
more fight than anything. And you're just like, I'm fighting. And especially running a business, right? Or even looking for a job, you're fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting. And actually, you almost forget how to step back a little bit and breathe because the fear is if you stop, it will all slip from underneath you and it will all consume you. And then you really have failed and it hasn't done. And like
mm.
I admit it very openly, I burnt out in June because I spent 4 years on the adrenaline of just like, I can't stop. If I stop, it's going to fail. If I stop, it's going to
You
fail. I'm
did
getting
well to last
momentum.
that long.
Honestly, I have absolutely, my stamina for this is unreal.
This is the problem, right? So I think we need to bring this up because this is
Yeah.
it's a gift and a curse, okay?
Yep.
So I have been like this for years and years and years. You go to any of my old bosses, any of my old colleagues, right? And it's a gift and a curse because you know you can push it for months and months and
Mhm.
months and years, and you get rewarded from it because you get results.
Yep.
It motivates you to keep doing it. And in some sick way, like I am exhausted today. Like look at the state. Like my mission this morning was get out of bed and get in this room. I haven't been looking after myself for months. I don't give a shit what I look like. I'm literally wearing like
Joggers. Yeah.
I literally just got up. I haven't washed my hair. I rushed to the gym, came back, quick shot. Like,
Just got
but
with it.
I don't know if you're like me. Like, I get a thrill out of it. Like,
I
but it's
think
not healthy.
it's not, it's really tricky, okay? Because my old days, obviously, when I left university, I went straight into investment banking, right? I went straight into JP Morgan. I was on the grad program. And to be fair, I had a bee in my bonnet from day one. And what I loved, like I went from back office, middle to front office. And I remember working through those and the pressure got bigger and bigger and bigger. And like they'd be like, Gabs, this thing broke. You have to go fix it. And you have like 5 minutes. I'd be like, yeah, let's go. Like I
I
thrive in
love stuff like
high
that.
pressure, high stake environments.
Problem solving under pressure. I love
Oh,
it.
I love it. And I remember when I left banking, someone said to me that like you'd be back. And I was like, I don't want to go back to banking, but I sure as hell am on the hunt for that.
Mm.
Which is why I love like with where we've evolved, going into businesses and they're struggling and they're fighting, and I'm coming in being like, right, let's call the bullshit and get shit
Let's
done.
change shit up.
Yeah, but let's not like snooze on it. Let's not like, oh, do it in like 6 years. I'm like, no, wake up, be
No,
exceptional, let's drive. But like you said, that mindset is a blessing and a curse because when I'm running my own business, I'm like, well, yes, I didn't do as well. I can do better. I can do better. And I keep pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing. And I can feel myself kind of wobbling, being like, oh, I'm gonna break. But the nice thing when I was working for somebody else is I could kind of go, okay, I can step back for like have my 2 weeks mandatory leave, which like banking, it was mandatory. You had to have at least 2 weeks and you couldn't have your phone. They disconnected your work phone and your laptop.
That's
You could
good.
not access. So that was actually fantastic. But obviously, when you're running your own company, those
And
rules, even though
this is
people
the
say it, don't
difficult
apply.
thing, because people were saying to me the other week when I was, that burnout time,
Mm,
like, right, you need to have a rest. And it's like, I can't. I'm not even just saying it. Like, I
mm,
can't. But I realized from that, and like after holiday, like some things do need to change. So I have got a task set in my diary every day at 5 to turn off all my notifications for emails, LinkedIn, WhatsApp
exactly.
business. Because if I see a LinkedIn notification, I just think, oh, it's only quick. And then you get
Oh,
sucked into it. So that's stopping. And then I'll turn them back on, obviously, in the morning. I've asked my PT, I've not even asked, I've said, I'm not doing 5 sessions a week anymore, 4 max. If you put
good.
5 in, I'm not doing the fifth. Sorry, it's not happening. Like, I'm not
So
doing
what are you going to do then? How many are you going to do? What's your like number?
4, which I know will sound a lot to some people, but ideally for what I'm training for, you really do need to do 5. But I'm like, look, you know, the reality is me being a world famous high rocks athlete at 35 is not out of the, I mean, it's not a priority, and it's also not going to happen tomorrow. Like, and I need to prioritize my businesses and my priority.
Yeah.
So that's changed. And I'm not going to work every Saturday while I'm building up the courses. I just can't. It's just not. It's stupid. Every other, but not every week.
But I think that's the thing. You have to have those boundaries. But the thing is also keeping yourself in check that you don't let it sneak. Like my best friend came over for
It's in
dinner
my
last.
diary.
Well, this is the thing. Things are in my diary, and I go, like we were joking. Like this weekend, Mitch and I were like, well, we didn't work during the day because we spent time with the kids. But as soon as they were out cold, we were like on the laptop. We
It's
were like,
when you enjoy it though, it's so hard not to. It's
oh
like
my god, we're like
I worked yesterday because
we don't help
I'd
each
had a
other.
week off and I missed it. I was like, oh, I tell you what, I'll schedule those posts tonight. It'll save me time tomorrow. And I'm not enjoying working in this room at the moment because I'm sick
Paint
of my
it.
house. But I actually enjoyed.
You need to
I was
paint
like,
that
oh
room.
yes, get me back to
Paint
work
it.
tomorrow.
You need to paint the room. The room's too
No, I'm
beige.
moving. I'm
When are
selling the
you
house.
moving?
Just to add to all the other things I've got to do in October, I've got launched a business, I've got a high rocks race, speaking at the expo, and I'm putting my house up for sale.
Yeah, I mean, but you say it like that, but they're all positive things.
It's
They're
all
going to
change.
work together.
It's
It's all
all.
positive change.
I need a new. It's all about new starts for me, and I know I know that's my journey, and that's what's needed. So it's like, why not just do it now? Like,
Do it.
I
Lean
just don't
into
enjoy
it.
being here anymore. I don't enjoy this house. I've worked in this room for nearly 10 years.
Sure. It's time to
So
shake
sick
it
of it.
up. I mean, I get really restless. Like, I think what you're doing is really positive change. I think it's just like acknowledging you're in this moment, you're in this point where if the room and the environment doesn't inspire you,
Get out.
then you need to shake it up and you need to get out. And when you write a list like that, most normal people would be like, whoa, there's a lot of shit to get done. But like you said, like the feedback you've already had today, the meetings you've already got booked, super positive, which means actually the step you're making in your business is what the world needs. So you've started kickstarting that, which would hopefully bring you in the revenue. And then the house stuff, again, is just creating an environment where you are truly content, where
Mm,
actually, even if you have a rocky month, it doesn't feel like it's suffocating you. And I think I see a lot of people when they run businesses and they'll have like an amazing couple of months or whatever, and they'll go and buy this big swanky house and they end up just
no.
spanking loads of money on it, but they don't take into consideration that when you're running your own company, you are potentially going to have really shit, shocking months that kick
It's
you in the
too
ass.
much stress.
And the stress it adds on top of trying to rectify what's going on to
It's
your
not
business,
even
not
it's not
worth it.
even worth it. I
No.
bought this house when I was in my old job. I was in a lot of money, and at the time, I think when I bought it, it was my first home was like a new build, three
Mm-hmm.
beds, small 3 bed, lovely house. And at that time, it was about like I think it was almost like, well, I need to take a step up. I need a bigger house to show how successful I am. And no, I didn't. And in hindsight, I should have just stayed in my old house, but it is what it is. But now I'm not like that. And this is something else I've learned from that burnout is I just want a simple life, Gabs. Like,
Mm.
I'm
Peaceful.
going to sell this house, 3-bed semi. It's a beautiful house on a lovely street in a lovely area, but it needs work doing to it. I don't want to do that work, and I don't need a house this big. I'm going to move to like a 1-bed coach house by the sea.
Love.
Peaceful life, simple living, cheaper, where like I'm just going to have my little sanctuary, and I am not working from home anymore. I
Do you
want
know
to have
what?
a space that's mine.
I wonder how many people have felt like that, right? So I definitely did. Like coming from the background I came from, and good money, really good money for my age, running around like a maniac, was surrounded by people that would chase assets, and not fantastic assets. Like they'd have the latest designer shoes, big diamonds,
Exactly the
fancy
same for me.
watches,
Did you
big
get sucked into
houses.
it? Because I did.
And it like you can see like I didn't get into it because designer stuff's never really been my vibe. And I think that's largely because Mitch and I met when we were 17. So actually when we met, we didn't have money and we kind of kept that core of like I'd get paid and I'd go to Primark to buy a new pair of jeans. Like I was
Yeah.
always that person. But what was interesting with the house and stuff, I was like, well, I need this big house. And we did buy a house and we did it up. So we bought a 2-bedroom flat in Eastleigh. We bought it and I was like, we're going to clear the mortgage in 2 years. So we cleared the mortgage in 2 years because I was like, because someone said I couldn't do it. So of course I was like, I'm going to do it.
Yes,
And then
I
we
am.
rented that out, so then we rented that out and we moved up to Essex and I rented a property that was the same price as what we were renting the flat for. So I was like net neutral from expenses. And then I was like, I'm going to save. And we saved and saved and saved and bought a 4-bedroom house detached because I was like, I'm not doing any of this stepping shit. But again, added loads of pressure on myself to do
Mm.
that. And then we renovated it, which meant for basically 2 years we were saving up and didn't do anything nice because I was like, I want to do the house, I want to do this. And we did it.
Yeah, I
And then I
don't
remember
enjoy that,
sitting in
see.
the house and I just looked at Mitch and it like literally we'd just moved back in because we moved out for 6 months while it was being done. And I walked back in and I was like, can we sell it now? And he was like, what are you talking about? And I was like, I had got so caught up with having this big flashy house that everything was done. And I just sat in it and I was like, it feels really cold. It doesn't feel like me. I'm not happy here. Like, and then when we moved, we have a 4-bedroom house now. It's a semi-detached. We've got a bigger garden or whatever, but it was a lot less. So we actually pocketed money because I sat there and was like, we looked at other houses that were bigger, and I was like, what am I chasing? I'm
Yeah,
chasing societal expectations that when you've got a house and you make money, you should buy a bigger house and a bigger house and a flashier car
yeah.
and a flashier bag. And I just looked at Mitch and was like, I don't want to be that family that gets consumed with assets dictating what people perceive I'm worth. I would rather have a smaller house that completely is my vibe. I can clear the mortgage on. I'm not beholden to anyone, but it's my sanctuary rather than my next level of stress. And I think so
Yeah.
much in society has lost that sense of what a house should be. A house is not a bragging right. It should be something you can
No,
afford and feel safe in.
and also as well, like, just do what you want to do. Like, I know there's going to be people when I put my house up that are like, "Why are you selling that house? Such a great investment. You'll never. What if a 1-bed coach house? What if you meet somebody? What if? Well, I'll sell it
Yeah.
then, won't I? Or I'll rent it out." I think, like for me, I got sucked. I was never always designer everything because I'm like you. I love
Mm.
Primark and where else do I shop? Like Sheen and all that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like but I got into like having a nice watch, having a nice car, having
Mm.
like nice bags, and you know, I and look at and now I think like, do you know what? Like just to have a less of a stress-free life,
Don't need it.
to have enough money to buy nice trainers, nice gym clothes, a few nice clothes every month, do nice fun things with my money, like go on holidays and little spa breaks. They're the things that are important to me now, the self-care, because that when I'm juggling these two businesses,
It's gonna be a
that is
lot.
what I need to be able to go, do you know what? I'm feeling really tired this week. And it's, oh, look, I'm not working this Saturday. I'm going to go to the Celtic Manor and I'm going to have a spa treatment and stay overnight. That's what I want the money
The
for,
money for
not
self-care.
my mortgage doubled basically last November, and I'm on my own, nearly £1,000 a month on my own in this house, and it's
That's
crippled
real.
me. And it's too stressful. Like,
It's not,
and
but
I
the thing
don't
is
even
none of it's
like where
worth
I'm
it.
living.
The house
It's
isn't
not
worth
worth
it.
it.
I think, like, don't get me wrong, like the house we bought we had fun projects. Like this morning, the boiler stopped.
Oh,
And
I
I
was
was
having it
literally
all the
like,
time in this house.
we have no hot water, like what the hell? And we only had the new boiler fitted 2 years ago. But if this had happened back in June when I was having like a complete burnout, it
Oh,
would have
that would
been
have
one
thrown you
step
over the
too
edge.
far. One step too far. It's just that constant. I think that's the thing
Because
when
then you need
people,
money to get somebody in to check it.
yeah, so then you have to make money to be able to afford to fix it. And you end up back on this spiral. And again, I think it's recentering in life. Like we had 2 cars and we sold one. And I was talking to my sister about it today. She was like, why the hell did you sell it? And I was like, why do I need 2 cars? There are obviously odd occasions where Mitch and I will potentially have to go in opposite directions, but there's a bus, there's a train,
Yeah.
I have legs.
It's
So
not
actually,
enough that it's annoying. It's not
no.
happening enough that it's annoying.
But like we got rid of the car 4 months ago. And this morning was the only time where we were like, shit. But again, I think in society, everyone's like, you need to have this, you need to have that, you need to have, oh. And I'm sitting there going, like,
No, I
that car
don't.
was like 22 grand just sitting on the drive that occasionally got moved. And it was like, this is stupid. Like, what pressure hype
Agreed.
did we just get caught in to make us feel like we needed to have that, to add that stress onto our life? Because it's not just having a car, it's the maintenance of it, it's the bills for it, it's the petrol for it, it's everything about it. And I think in society, and you're right, like even whether it's running your own business or not, I think we've become distracted on how we spend our money and how we spend our time. Like you said, I would rather not have 2 cars and have a little bit of residual income to go to a spa if I need to step away, or go to a gym, or go on a holiday if I
Or
need a long
visit
weekend.
somebody. Do you know what I mean? Be like, oh, I've got a free weekend. I'm going to go and see my friend in London, or I don't know,
Exactly.
wherever it is.
But being
But
able to
yeah,
do
I
that,
want to start looking after myself a bit more because
yeah. See,
I
I
just
wonder how
felt
many
like
people do that though.
I feel like
How
a
many,
mess at the moment. I feel
a
like
lot.
I look
You are
just
you are in a
I look
very,
like I feel like apps like do you know what I mean? And I just want to like look after myself a little bit more.
but you're also, I think you have to be kind, right? You've just launched another business, right?
Yeah.
You're about to start to juggle this. And as much as work is now starting to come in top of funnel, that's still shit you have to deal with.
Yeah.
It's a reality of like, and again, like many people are like, oh, your business is really busy. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm basically, I've got multiple personality disorder at the minute. Like, because I'm like marketing, social media, I am business development,
You
I'm
have to wear
customer
every
engagement.
hat.
I'm literally every hat known to man. And yeah, okay, we'll reach a point where we'll hire and you'll do exactly the same thing, right? When the
I
money's
can't
there,
wait for
you will
that day.
hire and you will grow. But again, it's if you're like people listening to this, right? I wonder how many people are listening, being like, yeah, I started a business and I'm getting really busy up here, but I'm feeling that pressure coming down. And people's response is just hire. And I'm like, well, that's really nice. That's really cool. But
Well,
my
then
view was,
fucking pay them.
exactly. It's like, well, hang on a minute. If I'm starting to make money, which is starting to give me some breathing room, and then you have to add someone on top, and there is always
You've
this
got to
middle
be.
ground.
You've got to have a pot. I think you've got to
Yeah,
have a little pot, and that was my plan was to get funding, so I had a pot so I could
yeah.
hire, and then that didn't end up happening.
Didn't quite go
But
to plan.
obviously, all for a reason, isn't it?
Well, that's the thing. I didn't get the funding, and I remember I went for that access to work stuff. Oh my gosh, I've never had a more raging experience in my life. So
What's
obviously,
access to work?
I've got dyslexia. So it's
Could you
for
tell
people
me
who've
about
got.
this?
So Wendy put a post out ages and ages ago about it, and it's basically support for the government from the government for people who have neurodiversity in various forms, and it's impacting their ability to run their business.
I have not heard of that.
Do you know what? Probably because it's bullshit, right? Okay, I'm going to call
Okay.
it. So I submitted the form, and I've got dyslexia and ADHD, so I was like, right, I 100% need help, and I have fought, and now I'm like, I need some help. Put my hand up, submitted my form. Some boxing plonker came back and was like, well, you don't get support because you were making. How do I explain this? So we make money out of Tooled Up Raccoons, but I'm also the director of Oscar Harrington. And I was getting payroll from Oscar Harrington rather than Tooled Up Raccoons because all the money from the tech was going back into the tech. And she was like, I don't care. You need to be being payrolled by Tooled Up Raccoons, not Oscar Harrington. I'm like, it's on a piece of paper just because the money was in there The business doesn't
But
make any money.
regardless, you're neurodivergent,
Oh,
and
no.
so why would it
No, no,
matter?
no. You didn't tick the box. And I tried to ring her and she was like, no, we can't have a call. I was like, okay, cool. So I'm talking to yet another tick box exercise where the government goes,
Which you should
I'm
know
here
for a
for neurodiversity.
neurodivergent person. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's totally
Honestly,
fucked, that whole thing.
you should have seen the form. They were like, you've got to fill out this questionnaire. I was like, okay. And I was trying to fill it out to be articulate. I'm like, I am dyslexic. Like, this is the most abusive thing you could do to me. I'm asking for help, and you are making it so goddamn hard.
I think that's their aim, though. I think that is the
Yeah, they
aim.
don't want to help. They
And I
want to
think,
say they're helping, but they're not.
but that's why it's so difficult to set up and have a business, because it
Mhm.
doesn't, the people don't want it to be easy, because otherwise too many people would do it.
Yeah,
It's,
they just make
and
it
you know,
hard.
so that's why it's made to be so hard.
It is. It is hard. And to be fair, I was proper raging when it happened because I was just like, I knew other people who'd got it. And I was just like, well, why do they deserve it and I don't? Like, why can't I
That's
have
exactly what happened
goddamn
to me. I got
help?
really pissed.
Honestly, I can't stand it. I'm not the
In
best
fact,
person
you
to
just
talk about
reminded me. I
neurodiversity
need
with.
to put a reminder in my diary to hand the council about a grant, which everybody else gets callbacks about, but
Not you.
not me. Do you know what? Somebody messaged me on LinkedIn after our first one of this and sent a suggestion for what we should chat about, something we should chat
Oh,
about in this
what?
one. Oh, bloody hell, where is it now? He was in Canada. He watched it from Canada.
Love?
Oh God, I'm going way back now. I'll try and find it. It was a really good suggestion. I remember thinking, oh, that's a juicy one for us to chat about.
Ooh, I can talk about all this stuff. I'm in.
Hmm. When did we do the last? I'm trying to think now. Oh God.
What do we call it? Mic drop moments. Hang on, let me go through my calendar and I'll see if I can find it. Mic drop moments. Nope, that doesn't help me. Oh,
I think it went out in July, didn't it, or August?
April.
If I don't find it soon, I'll just give up because
It was on the 28th. Oh no. No, it wasn't that.
yeah, can't
Fish for email
find
base.
it.
Hang on.
Oh well, we'll do it on the next one. So if you're watching, whoever suggested, we will do it at some point. I just wasn't very organised.
It was July. It was 23rd of July you recorded it. Or we recorded it.
So I think it went out in August.
Must have done. Oh, I'm
Yeah.
intrigued what this thing was now.
So if I go, actually, I think he commented on the YouTube video itself, and that would get his name. Hopefully this doesn't affect my bandwidth. Right. It went, oh, sorry, it went 31st of July.
Yeah.
It went out. So let's have a look at the comments. Oh no, he didn't comment on it. Okay, yeah, it's going to take me too long to find, I think. Be very boring for the people watching, just me like scrolling away. It would have, in fact, it would have been if it went on the 31st. I think he messaged like the next day,
Oh,
so
I
it
mean,
would be the
what?
1st
Message you on
of
LinkedIn?
August. Yeah, can you filter it down to date?
Probably not.
I don't think you can. Okay, I'll scroll in the background. Was there anything that you wanted us to talk about? Any controversial subjects?
Oh, what was
I've got
controversial?
one.
Oh, go on.
So I'm not going to name any names because
They'll know who they are.
yeah. Oh, I found it. Right.
Go on.
So it was Chris Capusta, his name is.
Yeah,
He said,
I know Chris.
well, you know him, do you?
Yeah. He's a
Yeah.
client of ours.
He said, how about recruiters who don't think every role needs to be sourced?
Oh, Chris, you speak my language. You mean all those people that just post an ad and go, yeah, those ones.
And they think that's recruitment. Like, oh, I'll just wait. Or I think he means as well the ones that like, you know, some people will pick up a job and they'll just be like, oh, I'm not gonna. It's not. Yeah, it's just not worth working on. I'm not gonna do it.
I mean, I can argue either side of that. So, which way do you want to go first, Kate? Do you want to go with the people who don't want to recruit a job or search a job that they've been given? or do you want to go those who post and pray?
Post and pray is one of my biggest bugbears, so let's start with that because
Okay.
it really fucks me off.
Do you know what really gets me about it? Okay, is the people I often tend to see doing it are literally like a job description lands, and they're like, yeah, okay, I'll do a quick qualification call, but they'll repost
Or they don't.
or they don't. I mean, we definitely see a lot of them. And they just post the JD. I don't know, right? They just post the JD as an ad. If you're really lucky, what they will do is they'll put it through ChatGPT, right? And some other bollocks will fall out of it. Honestly, I went on LinkedIn the other day to look at open vacancies, and the amount of bullshit I saw on some of these
You
ads.
would like my ads. It's very good.
Your ad.
For my new, I've got an ad
Oh
up,
yeah,
haven't I,
yeah.
for the agency.
I'm
It's
totally I'm gonna stalk
very
this.
good.
But the thing that gets me, okay, about the post and pray mentality is you get people who are like, oh, I had like 1,000 applications. All right, okay. And then you go and sit there and you go, well, how many of them even got to interview? They're like, one. And how many of
How
them
do
got
you
offered
even
a
know if
job?
they're right?
No.
Because you don't know what you're fucking recruiting for.
100%. Like, it's just because you've got X number here, unless it resulted in an offer, it was poop. Right? You shouldn't have, like, it just doesn't make sense. And it's like, well, they applied to the job. I'm like, well, where are all the people that didn't apply for the job who couldn't find you because your job ad is so diabolical? Like, I had a debate with someone, and Chris, I probably had this debate with Chris quite a lot actually, about when people get JDs, the first thing they fail to do is do competitor mapping. So go on,
Mm.
build competitor lists. So if your agency, obviously building competitors for your client, if you're in a house, then building competitors to you, you should already have that bloody string. Taking it, putting in some keywords in your search and having a look at job titles that they give people with similar titles. And then look at the words those candidates are using to describe themselves, right? Then you take all of that and you put it in your JD. Because what that means is if any of those people out in the market are looking for roles, they'll find you. But you, again, by the time you've done all of that, you just might as well have gone hunting and gone and found the people you wanted to play with in the first place rather than being like,
Mm.
oh, I hope Santa Claus finds me today. Like, it's just crap. And then you ask for 25% fees. Come on, like, I can't promote you if you can't be asked to work for your money.
I kid you not, right? I did some work with an agency. I think it was the first year of the coaching business, and they were a temp agency.
Yeah.
And this is what they did. Bearing in mind, they had a database full of people,
Yeah.
right? So every time they picked up a shift temp vacancy with a client, they'd post an ad on Indeed or wherever else they posted, and they'd sit back and wait for people to call in, and they'd register them and put them on. Bearing in mind, you've got a whole database full of people that you know you've worked with before. They weren't building great relationships with them, but they should have been.
Yeah.
You wouldn't need to go. Sometimes you wouldn't even need to post the ads and use up a credit. You can
Yeah.
just go in and search, find these people, use your talent pools, which you are not building up.
Yeah.
It just baffled me. It was like they just sit around and wait for the phone to ring. I was like, this isn't recruitment, guys.
I actually know people who are retained on large contracts and they only do passive candidates, active candidates. Mm-hmm. Only, and they're like, yeah, well, I get paid and you just post it out and eventually someone lands. And I literally want to ring their clients
So
and be like,
they only work with new active candidates, do you mean? So people that apply, so they
mhm.
don't manage a pool of active, or well, sometimes your
Sure.
pool has got middle of the road and your passive, haven't they? But
I mean, but
it's
still,
actually a waste of time.
it's a waste of time, it's a waste of money, and I'm sure there'll be lots of recruitment businesses listening to this being like, oh, but it works. But the stupid thing is it will have probably taken your
A lot of
candidate.
big agent. I hear that a lot more about the bigger agencies, the really big setups. You know, sometimes they've got groups, they've got multiple agencies.
Yeah,
That is what they do. That's how they recruit. And the
it's
problem is
not, but that's not
and they
recruitment.
throw a load of shit at the wall and just see what sticks. And
That's
because it
not
gets
recruitment.
them results to a certain extent. But my thought process would be, well, imagine what you could do if you did it properly.
That's my argument every day of the week. But actually, what I think, and no recruiter's going to like me for this statement, the talent acquisition team should go and have a look at job postings and have a look at them. And if you're only posting my work and you're not sending me any passive candidates, I'm
What's the
not going to
point?
pay you.
I
I
can do
want,
this
like, the
myself.
TA could have done that. They could have posted an ad. They're the one that had the JD. They're the ones that created the JD. They could have posted it themselves. Why? How can you charge a client 10, 15, 20, 30% of a base salary for posting and doing nothing? And it's just how long it takes you to then review all of these applications, of which marginal amounts are going to be worth talking to, of which a tinier fraction are going to be worth engaging. How much time are you wasting? Well, you could have just been like, well, you've got the
Mm.
JD, go, let's go hunting. And don't get me wrong, there
Whereas
are
you
some
could
job
have,
markets that it works,
if you
but
manage them properly, just go to your talent pool, pick up the phone, ring the people you've already got a relationship with that you've already qualified. Do you want to go for this job? Yes, great, send. And you've covered your job off in
and you've
what?
done it in seconds. And you're like,
Yeah.
do you know when people are like, oh, the market's really shit, like, and they're like posting jobs and stuff. And I'm like, well, have you
I had this the
tried?
other day from a couple of consultants that I'm training, and it was like, oh, we're really struggling. There is a shortage of the types of candidates they are looking for, granted, but it was like, we haven't got any candidates trying everything, and they're not Boolean searching. So by doing some Boolean searching, they like came up with, I know that's like ecstasy to you, that word, isn't
I
it?
know.
Um, we got a really good amount of candidates, and it's like, I think and this ties in with it, my biggest bugbear is people, and I said this to a group I did some database training with recently. My final thought I left with them is, what the question I want you to always ask yourself is, what else can I do?
Mm,
What annoys me is so many consultants will just go,
can't
oh
find.
well, no candidates, I can't fill that job. And it's
And
like,
they'll move
I've
on.
never been like that. I've always been like, what else can I do? Problem solve, problem solve. And I've been motivated. Oh, won't lie to you. I was motivated by filling the job and getting my bloody bonus. Like
Yeah.
that. I just don't understand where they're like, people just, it's like they give up so easily
I think
sometimes.
it's, but I think it's because the world tells them there is a silver bullet for every single one of their challenges. Like,
Mm,
I could name 20 tech firms that are like, I can solve that for you. So what ends up happening is the founders of the business or the owners of these agencies or even in-house teams implement technology with this concept that it's going to be a silver bullet, which is absolute horseshit. There's not a single product out there that is a silver bullet to anything in the recruitment world. You have to piece it all together, and then it's just a bit of a mind whatever, because none of it actually sings together. It's just whatever it is. But because when you tell your team like this is going to solve this problem, they go, okay, cool. And then what ends up happening is the founders don't step back and go, this isn't working. Like, my team aren't
mm,
better. And that's, to be fair, why we expanded our business when we were talking to become search strategists. Well, we actually go in and audit every single one of their recruiters to be like, let's talk search. Like, what are you doing? What are you not doing? Why are you underperforming? Like, where's the gap? Is it training? Is it your tech is the wrong thing? Blah, 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 blah. But the thing is, no one does that. What they do is go, I just can't fill a role. And then the managers don't know how to do any better. So they're basically, they all just go, oh yeah, you must be right because I can't either. And that's where we come in and go, well, actually, guys, A, B, C, D, and E could have happened and you didn't do it. And they suddenly go, oh yeah, shit, I could have done that. But you need, this is the thing with being specialists in certain areas and things you do,
mm.
is you come in with a knowledge where they can't see it. They've just all convinced each other, right? They all tell each other like, well, it's a rubbish market, there's no candidates for that, or oh, it's super niche, blah blah blah. Even if it's the most niche role in the world, you cannot be the only company in the world hiring for it. You have to
Yeah.
go further and dig deeper and think outside the box, but you
I
have to
think
know
what
where
I
to go for
see
help.
is not the agency owners. So I find the agency owners are the ones that are like, well, no, there's more you can do. But the problem is they don't know what. So they know that's the problem. So they
Mhm.
can't they can't provide much of a, they're kind of
Framework.
saying, well, that's not good enough, you need to do more. But it's like, what?
But what? Yeah,
So
we
then we fill in that what gap
exactly.
because,
We actually had a client who kept telling, I love this phrase. Do you know when people say think outside the box? Really
yeah.
pisses me off because what it really means is you don't know what's outside that box. If I just tell you to think outside the box, it's up to you to work it out. And this manager kept saying it over and over and over and over again to this guy because he had this gut feeling that his search wasn't going as far as it could. He's like, you need to think outside the box. And this poor employee was like, I don't know what that means. What did you want me to do? And I had a session with him and I was like, well, show me what you're doing. And he showed me, we walked through it and I was like, look, this is what you need to be doing. And he was like, out of the box. And I was like, out of the box. But this is what it means. And it's that application, because I think lots of founders, again, they know the team may be dragging their heels. They know they may not be the best they can be. And this is true across all parts of the recruitment process.
Yeah.
But the thing is, they don't know how to fix it. They know it's not right, but they're not sure exactly why it's not as good as it could be. And they have no way of assessing them to know how to fix it. So we all just go around in this merry circle of like, you didn't perform, you didn't hit your KPIs, meh, 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 meh. And then the recruiters lose momentum, they lose passion, they get frustrated with being.
And also they then think, oh, I just don't like recruitment, so I need to get out of it.
Exactly. And actually, how many recruiters do you talk to that are like, I don't like search? They don't like they
Yeah.
don't like the candidate discovery piece.
I think, and I can speak from experience on this, because I think this was why I maybe fell out of love with it,
Mm,
was, well, there's the difference. So I started my first agency I started in, we we really did have to go and find people, because it wasn't like we attracted a lot of
yeah,
candidates naturally. And I did enjoy the search part of it then. I did. I was, it was Boolean searching, everything. Because back then, you kind of had to, you didn't have a
yeah,
choice. And then I went to an agency where I was very lucky when I took over the graduate division, because I didn't have to search. I couldn't keep up with the applications, because we had this reputation for helping grads get into recruitment.
yeah,
Can't confuse my new business, getting into the pharmaceutical industry.
yeah.
I couldn't keep up with the applications. It was
Mm,
very rare that I was like, shit, I haven't got any candidates. And even when I didn't, I always ended up finding them I'd go back, I'd do searches on the database and stuff. I never went on a
time
job
and again.
board. So I found my love for search again through training people on it.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I got my love back for it. And now I've launched the agency. I'm in a position where I've had a lot of applications coming in, but I'm looking forward to those retained projects I get where I'm having to find people.
Having to go back to it. But I think, do you know what's
Excited.
interesting? I think a lot of people have experienced what you have, where they've got loads of inbound applications because they put the JD out and they got loads of applications in. But the thing I always sit down and say to people, I'm like, okay, you've got loads of inbounds. Doesn't mean they were the best people.
No.
Okay. You also have to go through every single one of those and qualify every single one of them and review their profile.
It used to take me ages.
Ages. So when you sit down and work out the time you spent to build the JD, post the JD, review it, review the applications one by one by one by one, because you now have to respond to every single one of those. You have to, because they've played in the sandpit with you. You have to accept it or reject it to move forward.
Yeah.
If you had built a smart search, okay, doesn't take long anymore. Once you know how, it doesn't take long to execute it. If you built a smart search that was really targeted, that pulled up your kind of unicorn, and then you can scale out to widen it, you only would have been reviewing candidates you wanted to talk to. You'd only be talking to candidates you wanted to be talking to. So actually, if we look at the time allocation, I mean, we had a client the other day who signed up with us. Within 45 minutes of getting the role on and qualifying it and everything, she had the short list of candidates. Within 24 hours, she had interviews booked because the candidates were that hot. So imagine what happened if she'd posted a job and waited to review every application. How long would it have taken her to find the best candidates
Well,
that they're falling over themselves to find them? So that's the way I view it. They're coming in,
yeah.
but how much time are
The
you
one
wasting?
the one caveat with that, so basically and this is how I'm going to be doing it in my agency.
Mm,
We didn't post an ad for every job. We had one ad up per job board, generic, just about,
yep.
do you want to get into pharmaceutical sales? This is why it worked. So we were
And then
constantly getting
getting inbound leads.
for all over the UK. So I wasn't calling them about any particular job. I was
Your
calling them
talent
about
calling.
all my jobs that I had. And that's
Yep.
how I try and train people now, is this is what does my head in. They get an application for a job and they go, oh yeah, that job would be great. And they ring them they're asking them questions only based on that job. And it's like, right, just step back, just qualify them in general for, I don't know, care work or
Yeah.
the admin jobs, and then tell them about the other jobs that you've got that they might be good for. It's like they get blinkered. It's like, okay, they
Mhm.
might be great for that job, but what other jobs do you work in? Who can you pitch them out to?
But that comes
Just
down to
qualify them.
training. That comes down, like, honestly, I can't tell you. Like, when we first started recruiting, someone asked me to do some sales training, just because my sales style is very, very different. It's not being taught, it's relationship driven, whatever.
Yeah, same.
And I remember when I first looked at this training that this person had got, and it was like, talk to them about this role. I've got a role that I think you'd be really good for. You don't know shit about me. Sit down, right? And I said to them, I was like,
Can't
how
say
would you feel?
start of a call, you don't even fucking know the
You
person.
don't know, you know, a piece of paper with a few words. It should always be going in with a rounded conversation of, look, talk to me about you. Talk to me about your career. Like, where have you been? Where do you want to go? What's vibing? What's going on? And then as they're talking, you should be in your head going, right, I know I've got all these jobs on. Where best fits? Where do you best align with the positions I have on? Question mark. And then go, look, based on what you told me, these are the roles that I think would be appropriate. Do any of them stick? You
Yes.
do not force a candidate when you know nothing about them into this, because actually you find out less. You need to be inquisitive, kind of asking loads of questions, profile them.
But also, if you say to a candidate at the start, I've got a job I'm ringing you about in so many words, they're just going to want you to tell them about the job. When you go, you need
Mm,
to ask some questions first. So if you dangle that carrot, and they could be really desperate for a job, they're just going to want you to talk about the job. You start pitching that job that you know nothing about the person,
mhm.
nothing about what their motivators are, the things they're looking for. You are risking them not being interested, and then guess what? You've lost them on the call. They don't see the point in talking to you. Whereas if you position it at the start as, look, I'm ringing to get to know you, find out more about what you're looking for, senior CV, blah, 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 blah. Then tell them about the jobs later.
Yeah,
They're more open to chatting. It's, I didn't even get trained on that style. That's just naturally how I've
natural stuff.
developed.
Be
And I
nosy.
now train other people on it, but I
Mm.
can't bear it when I'm doing call coaching, when I go into an agency early on and all I'm hearing is like
This is
pitching
around.
jobs straight away. It's,
But
oh
it's
my
just
God. And it's not their,
funny.
one thing to say about this,
Go on.
it's not always their fault because they
Mm.
are. I work with a lot of rookies, younger recruiters, not even just younger, just newer to the game.
Fresh.
They don't know what they don't know. And a lot of the time, they're either have been told to do that
Yep.
or they haven't been given any help and they're just hearing what everyone else is doing
They
and they're
follow.
copying. So it's not always intentional. It's not like I am going to be this type of recruiter. They just don't know what they're fucking doing.
No, they don't. And it's innocence, right? It's absolute innocence.
Yeah.
And I know some businesses are like, well, they need to learn as they go. But actually, I think
Well, they're not
there is a,
psychic.
I don't think it's a good idea, especially with the more work from home roles that we've got. Like, I love
It's a
work from
terrible
home.
idea.
It's so dangerous for newbies, whether you're brand new to an industry, whether you've been it for years and just moved businesses.
I was a year and a half, nearly 2 years when I started working from home, and it was really fucking hard.
It's hard because you hear nothing, you learn nothing.
I was new to
Right?
the agency. I didn't know that no one told me that it was candidate ownership over client. So I
Mhm.
went calling people. I got fucking screamed at down the phone. You know, I was just chucked into it. Like I was still learning myself. The first 3 months were very, very hard. Like to the point where I was like, I don't know if I can stick this out. Like I was so anxious all the time, and then it just clicked. But imagine if I'd had a better induction and better initial training, they could have got more
Mhm.
out of me sooner.
But I think, but you know what? It's funny. Like, we spend a lot of focus on newbies, but I've seen a lot of seniors who've got lots and lots of experience who are stuck in their ways from how it used to be, but
Mm.
haven't evolved. Like when I talk to recruiters, they're like, "Well, I've been in this industry 15 years. I know how to search." I'm like, "Yeah, but 15 years ago, you didn't have a billion people on one platform. You didn't have all of these job profiles. You didn't
Things have
have,
changed.
like, things have evolved and changed, and the way you search, yes, the fundamentals may look and smell the same, but the way you execute them is different. The things you need to be thinking about are different, and that's where you have to kind of look at your business as a founder, as an owner, even, like, again, whether you're agency or in-house, You should be looking at your teams going, actually, where are we at? Where should we be? And this is the one thing that really annoys me about recruitment. Again, agnostic, in-house or agency, is this just acceptance of mediocrity rather, and again, it's not necessarily intentional mediocrity. It's just they get lost on a journey. They don't know the best things to do. They don't know
There's
the best
so much
practices.
mediocrity.
And there's just so much that, like, you need to perform. And it's like, that's like me sending you into a high risk competition being like, perform. And you've had no training, no coaching, no help, no nothing. You're like, well, I've given my team tech. Are destined to fail. You need to go in and
Half the time they don't even know how to fucking use the tech anyway.
honestly. But then they
It's just a
hire, oh my
waste
God,
of
this is
money.
a wicked one. I've seen this new wave, okay? And it's really dangerous where these businesses hire these ops directors, okay, to come and review them operationally. They are not an expert in any field to do with recruitment. So I'm like, so what you're doing is
What? So they're ops, but not recruitment specific.
Mm-hmm. But they're in a
Okay.
recruitment business. So they come into a recruitment business. They're not SME on anything. And they have to review the operational processes of each part of that business and then provide feedback. So I had a call with someone a couple of weeks ago, and they were the ops director. And I was like, okay, let's talk about search. How's your search? What's your KPIs? What's happening? I'm like, I don't know. I was like, well, how do your team search? He was like, well, they use Boolean. I was like, well, have you got an example of a Boolean string they use? Is it in depth? Or are we just talking connecting two words? What's going on? He went, well, they showed me some stuff, but I don't really understand. They say they're fine. In that moment, I was just like, they say they're fine is not acceptable. You
Yeah,
are
I think
here to identify the blind spot.
I think if you're coming into an ops role in recruitment, you do need to understand
Your shit.
recruitment, because it's just not, things won't connect, will they? Do you know, I see an ops role as like connecting the dots below and stuff, and I think it's very, very hard to do that when you don't understand the lay of the land. And recruitment, it's like when I say to any of my friends, I've explained to them millions of times what I do, they don't understand it. Most people don't get recruitment.
No.
Or you just get people jobs. We know, people that work in it, that it's an art and it's a skill, recruitment.
100%.
And if you don't understand that and how the two intertwine and connect, I really struggle to get how you would do that job.
You don't.
Exceptionally.
But you
mediocre,
can't.
maybe.
The problem is you'll do mediocre. You will be mediocre largely because you don't know the questions to ask to identify their blind spots. And this is the thing for me when I work with these businesses and I walk in and I'm like, when you're talking to senior management, I expect you to know your team's blind spots. And what you should be doing is going, shit, how do I solve these challenges? How do I solve them? What do we need to do? What do we need to get in place? But they don't know these blind spots because, again, they're not looking. Like, each part of the recruitment process has multiple layers happening within it. There's multiple dynamics happening. And you need to be able to look at your employees and be like, right, you're exceptional at this, but you're pretty bad at this. But you need to have the knowledge and the understanding of how to look at each employee to assess where their blind spots are and then facilitate them becoming exceptional. Because if you can't do that, you're not going to be any better. You're constantly going to have this up and down ebb and flow of performance because the foundations is shit. And actually roles are being filled by luck rather than intent. And you should have every single person, and I will always stand by this, every single person in recruitment should be exceptional because in their hands holds the potential career for a human being and the potential growth of a company. That's a huge responsibility. And people are like, it's just recruitment. Bullshit. Absolute bull.
Again, for the people that probably say that, don't get it. Now, I'm going to call well, we've got 4 minutes left because being really strict, I've got to finish on time, so I've got to have my downtime this evening. So I think we've covered some really important topics today, though, because a lot of people are suffering with burnout and stress in the recruitment industry. It's been very tough, not just business leaders, like managers in the business, everybody. So I think that's been a really it came up naturally, didn't it? But it has
Yeah,
been an important topic.
massive.
And we moved on to then, didn't we? That question
Chris.
from, oh God, I've forgotten his name,
Chris.
Chris.
Yep.
Chris, which I think is a really important topic. So if you're watching and there's something you think that you would like to hear us talk about, you can drop us a message directly on LinkedIn. I'll put our profile links in the bottom anyway. I'll also put a link to our last one. So if you missed the last one, go back and watch it. It was good. We didn't have the window cleaner disturbing us this time, did we?
Scaring us. Being like, yeah, get everyone to comment. I want other people's topics.
Comment, give us ideas, message us, because otherwise we'll just do our own thing the next time we do it anyway, which is fine. We fill the hour very easily, so that's absolutely fine.
We can run for England.
Can you believe we've been chatting for an hour?
I can, because there is enough shit we could talk about it for like weeks and weeks and weeks.
I know. Weeks and weeks. Are you going to the expo next week? I can't remember if you're going.
No, I'm in Amsterdam. I am the keynote speaker at the Sourcing Summit in Amsterdam.
Woo!
I'm
so that's next week?
Yeah, so Tuesday, Wednesday next week. So I fly out.
Oh, we can talk about that in our next one then.
And then we're out.
That is so exciting.
It's so cool.
I love speaking at things like this. I love it.
I know. I want to get more. That's my mission for the remainder of 2024.
Let's put it out there. We are not even we are having more speaking opportunities in the next
2025 year. Like I've done loads already, and now I'm starting to get picky about the ones I attend. But I did a talk very quickly on leveraging social media for personal branding and inbound leads. I did one for teams, and it went down insane, and I didn't realize what I knew and what I'd learned that other people didn't know. So I want to do more speaking events.
It's great though, isn't it, when you're like, yes.
It's monumental, because it's like I've gone from like 1,000 followers to 28,500 followers in 2 years. And I've come into an industry where nobody knew me because my background isn't. And now I'm being invited to talk at huge businesses, talk at major events. And it's like, how did I do that? And I did it all through personal. So I want to do loads more talks on that and search and being mediocre to exceptional. Like, oh my God, I'm excited.
I personally think that we need to set up our own event at some point next year. I really do.
Can we do it? I think it'll be wicked.
Yeah, like towards the end of the year. Yeah. But I think that we need to set up like a female-led. Sorry, all the men watching this, but there is a reason behind this. We love you, but there is a reason. You can come, but I mean, like, you know, celebrating the recruitment leaders and, you know, success stories in the female side of things, because
bringing that back into it. It doesn't get an equal weighting. Maybe that's a good chat for next time. I know we touched on it the last talk we did, but I do think it's an interesting discussion for people to be mindful of when they schedule panel discussions, when it's the same voices recycled. There isn't a balance.
All men.
They're all men. There's not a balance of opinion on different things.
There's plenty of women to pick from, so there's no excuse for it, because there's plenty of us around.
We won't dwell on that, because you're meant to be finishing on time today, and that is
we'll bang
another debate for next time.
That would be a whole hour.
Jesus,
but yeah, thank you, whoever is watching us babble on for an hour. Thanks for watching, and like I said, connect with us, comment with your thoughts, comment with ideas of things we can talk about. We will actually bring them up. We only had one suggestion last time. Yeah. So let's get more coming in.
Well, we only need one at a time, because we haven't got enough time to talk about the other ones. Right, go. Right. We're to finish on time.
I'm hitting stop record. Thank you so much for watching another episode of Mic Drop Moments. I hope you didn't get bored to death with us chatting absolute shit. Let me know, as I said at the start, if there's anything that you want us to talk about, because we will chat about it. Otherwise, we'll just talk about whatever we want, which could be pretty boring unless you enjoy that. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notifications, because whenever I load a video, whether it's Mic Drop Moments or something different, you will get notified. And also you'll know when my LinkedIn live show is being streamed as well. Thank you so much for watching. Loved having you here. I will see you all soon.